The Rocky franchise has a new film, Creed 3. Here's my ranking of all 9 Rocky and Creed movies. Hi, my name is Sid, and I'm going to talk about a bunch of movies on this channel. If you're new here, down below in the comment section, share your ranking of the Rocky and Creed movies. Let's begin. Coming in last place, Rocky 5, a big misfire from beginning to end. And it's filled with good ideas all throughout the mix about Rocky retiring and him training somebody, with poor execution. And these ideas are better explored in the sequels to this movie. And the big problem here is he's training this jerk who you don't want to see succeed, and Rocky is not inspirational in this movie as he's overlooking his son, being dumb, making bad decisions, and the final battle is a street fight, and so it just feels out of place, and I think everybody could agree with me. Number 8 is Rocky 3. Now, and to be clear, there's a big gap from Rocky 5 and Rocky 3. I thoroughly enjoyed Rocky 3, and it's one of the most entertaining Rocky movies, and it's lots of fun. And a bunch of sequences are lots of fun, as you can see, like him fighting Thunder Lips and the introduction to Mr. T as Clubber Lang. That's just tons of fun to see. But I think this film has a dramatic tonal shift, as it's such an 80s product where it will go from like melodrama to like it tries to recapture the melodrama of the first two films. It will go from that to like Clubber Lang with a mohawk and things like that, and so it doesn't have the balance, silly, and serious that I would expect, but it's still a good movie. Number 7 is Rocky 2. Now, don't get me wrong, this film is just as iconic as the original. In some cases, it is more satisfying than the original film because it's a film that it just has a scenario where Rocky wins the belt, wins the title heavyweight champion, and it just swells so much emotions out of you once you reach the end. But where this one loses me is that in the second act it slows down a bit when Adrian gets sick and he's reading poems there in the hospital and things like that. It can feel slow, and his motivation doesn't feel as compelling as it was in the first film. But other than that, I just really enjoy this movie, in some cases more than the original. Coming in at number 6 is Creed 2. This is a film that somehow makes Rocky 4 this over-the-top 80s product Rocky movie and makes it so much better. And it does that by making the Dragos actual characters that you care about and grow and change throughout the story. Add to that, I think this film has a better training montage than the original Creed. Adonis finally gets his iconic training montage in this Creed franchise, and I love how there's some personal conflict and an emotional journey going on with almost all the characters. Now, I wish it was executed a little bit better, but I still thoroughly enjoy this film. Coming in 5th place is Rocky 4. This is a very 80s Rocky movie, as it can have long training montages that are over 10 minutes. It can have long, epic final fights. Everything is cranked up all the way to the hype, and it's tons of fun in general. There's obviously an iconic and over-the-top villain inside of Ivan Drago, and of course in the final battle, Rocky ends up ending the Cold War because he beat Ivan Drago in a boxing match. And it can also have these really shocking moments where Ivan kills Apollo, and it's also very inspiring where Rocky is giving speeches at the end. And so this movie balances out the silly and the serious just enough to make it one of the more rewatchable films in the Rocky franchise. Coming in at number 4 is Creed. This is basically a perfect legacy sequel to this franchise, and add to that you get Stallone's best Rocky performance, as he's basically just waiting to die, and when Adonis enters his life, he finds a new purpose in life. I just love that storyline. And there's a great new lead character in Adonis as well, perfectly portrayed by Michael B. Jordan. And it tells the story that the original told, but does it in a completely fresh and new way that makes it seem completely different. Put it all together, Ryan Coogler just nailed it on how to reignite this franchise. Kicking off the top 3, Rocky Balboa. To me, this is probably the most rewatchable Rocky film, and it feels the most similar to the original film. It shows that there is one last fight left in Rocky, and I really enjoy that about this film. There's a compelling story, especially about him and his son and their relationship throughout the film, and put it all together, you get a proper way to continue the franchise, and even as a 60-year-old man, it finds a way to have Rocky get one last fight in him. Our runner-up is Creed 3. Now, what I really enjoyed about this movie is that it fully passed the control of Michael B. Jordan and Adonis Creed. And it explores his backstory, and add to that, you get one of the best villains in the entire franchise in Damien, and he's perfectly portrayed by Jonathan Majors. There's big emotions drawn out at the end. The characters are more complex in this movie than there were in the previous films. And it's a film where they allow Adonis to stand in his own and not rely on Rocky. And I think the movie's compelling. It's more rewatchable than the first two Creed movies. And I think that it's a very good movie. It is my favorite of the Creed movies. But of course, in first place is the original Rocky. Like many sports movies, this is a film that is not mainly about the sport. It's about the internal conflict and struggles in our characters, and in doing so, it's the quintessential sports movie and one of the most compelling movies that I have ever seen. And add to that, it introduces one of our best characters in film history inside of Rocky Balboa, who has just been beloved, and even in movies in the year 2018, he's very iconic, and this film is very iconic, from the training montages, the final fights, the villain. Everything is iconic, and the icing on top of that is the fantastic score. To me, this is the best sports movie. It is my favorite. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end. Click that like button. Be sure to subscribe. I have more content like this over on my channel. Check those out right now. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end. See you in the next one.